Okay, and we're live. So let me switch the presentation.
Hey,
I
Jason,
have,
can you turn the
yes.
closed captioning on, or do I have to
So
do my end?
yeah, anybody can turn on captioning if you have audio difficulties, or if you just want to be able to get a little extra fidelity. There's the three dots button, you click that, and then there's turn on captions, and you will get AI powered captions. So the computer interpreting what I'm saying or what somebody's saying and trying to caption it. It's not perfect, but it's often better than nothing. Now I want to share a different tab. And this has just our title slide and then one additional slide. So welcome, thanks for coming tonight. This is the regularly scheduled monthly lecture slot for PFC, the Pittsburgh Free Thought Community. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit here in Pittsburgh, serving the Southwest Pennsylvania area. And we're here to educate the public and improve our community around separation of church and state, science and reason, and a number of other things. Jeffrey, I noticed your hand is raised. I didn't recall if that was new, but did you have something to say?
No, I accidentally pushed that button. Sorry.
No problem. Tonight is a little bit unusual. We don't have a guest lecturer. What I do have is something that I'm passionate about that I wanted to bring to this audience, something that I heard about years ago and read about, and it's called street epistemology. And it's meant to be, it was, well, so the agenda here is basically we're going to go to the source of truth, the streetepistemology.com website, which links to a number of resources. We will kind of review that together. We can ask questions. I invite people to raise your hand, or if you can't use the raise your hand feature on Google Meet, just chime in. Also, feel free to use the chat if you want to interact behind the scenes with others while we're talking, kind of as a secondary communication. We'll pick out a couple of introductory videos, maybe some ones that are representative of what street epistemology is. So once we get an idea of what it is, then we can see it in action. And then we'll have some time to discuss, maybe explore different parts of the website and just learn what it's all about. With that, are there any questions? Okay, so jumping into the website, is the size suitable for everybody? Can people mostly see things? I know if you're watching this on your phone, it might be a little difficult. I'm going to try to shrink it down a bit. See if we can get some good size going here. How is that?
Could you make this a little bigger? A little bigger?
I'll do what I can.
Is it possible? If not, don't worry about it.
I thought I heard an invite coming in and I don't see it. So give me 1 second. I want to make sure we're not missing somebody.
I think Tim Jameson, it says Tim Jameson just joined. But sounds like he got through.
Super. And I see Roby as well. Welcome, Roby. So we're going through the website here. I'm going to try to bump up the size a bit. Uh-oh. Oh, I grabbed the wrong tab. How is that?
Looks good.
All right. So definition, front and center here. Street epistemology is a set of tools that helps you have better conversations about difficult topics. And you'll notice right off the bat, it's not talking about a particular topic. It's not talking about atheism or religion. In fact, street epistemology can be used to counter atheism, to counter free thought. What it is meant is to have better conversations around topics where you differ with others. So there's a little bit of elaboration here. what is the benefit? It helps you discuss topics that mean a lot to you, or maybe you're someone else, and to better understand the views of others. So it is about connecting with others and not simply one-way conversations, and changing minds. An important part of epistemology is changing minds, trying to get people to the same page. In fact, I read a theoretical paper that said that if you had two honest interlocutors, two people in a conversation who were honest and willing to change their minds, that you couldn't not agree, right? We all are based in the same material. If we all spend enough time with each other, we would understand things the same way and believe the same things about the world. So that I think I see, I bring that into my view of what street epistemology is, which is getting toward the truth, or the things at least we can agree on. It's for anyone who cares about understanding other people, having productive conversations about things you might differ on, and it doesn't aim to be to do any one thing, and it's very adaptable. And then this website is designed to, give resources to help us learn how to use it, how to practice it, conduct it, and improve on it, so we can use this and to improve ourselves. So this part talks about the kind of origins of it. And I think it was around 2013 that I read the Manual for Creating Atheists. And it changed my perspective quite a bit. I had been thinking about engaging with others, countering some of the beliefs that I found as faulty or as mind viruses. I was a staunch atheist. I was, disrespectful, I think, of the people who held those beliefs. And a Manual for Creating Atheists actually, lays out a way of understanding, that everybody comes from some background, and it's good to understand where people's beliefs come from and help them understand where their beliefs come from. And so that inspired this street epistemology concept, and it's been refined over the years. It's kind of developed its own methodology, a little bit different from what's in the manual. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend the manual, but it was an interesting read for me. Christine.
Hi, I assume you're going to post the link to this website at some point?
I can, yes. And it may or may not be linked in the Meet invites on the event page, but certainly it's easily searchable as street epistemology. But yeah, we can go back to that and share it. In fact, let me put it in the chat right now for easy reference.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so right off the bat, we talked about YouTube. Some people maybe don't feel necessarily comfortable or used to using YouTube, but I'm perfectly comfortable with it, and they make it really easy here on the website to just go in and start doing that. And so what I'm planning to do tonight is start with some of the early ones and see where we get to. Any questions before we start one?
Sounds good.
I expect the sound to come through. If we're not getting the sound coming through, please just holler and I'll work that out.
Hey, I'm Michael. I've been studying street epistemology for a couple of years now, and I think at a very simple level, street epistemology is basically a way for people to reflect on the quality of their reasoning through conversation. You can go to Street Epistemology International and check out their course that's coming out for a more technical definition, but at a simple level, I think this is what SE is really all about. A I think there are three main ways that SE conversations help people to do this. Let's go through them. The first is by simply asking questions that explore what it is that your conversation partner believes. I've found that often simply just understanding what people mean by the words that they use and the situations in which their belief would apply or be true can bring clarity and understanding between two people. And I think that alone can go a long way towards resolving most simple conflicts. The second way is by simply asking questions that explore why they believe what they believe. I've found that when I understand the main reasons for why someone believes what they believe, I develop better empathy and understanding for why they've acted the way they did, or why they plan to do whatever they're wanting to do. The third way, and it's a focus on this part, I think that's what really makes SE unique, but the third way is by asking questions that explore how we can know if those reasons are good reasons for believing what we believe. SE is not about exploring what's ultimately philosophically true. It's about both parties genuinely exploring whether the reasons we have justify the level of confidence we have in the beliefs that we hold. I think this is important because our beliefs affect how we feel, and how we feel affects how we behave, and how we behave affects the impact we have on each other and the sort of results and outcomes we get in life. And so taking the time to reflect on whether we're acting on the best information available helps us to do our best to live the best life possible. For SE to be successful, you've got to have honesty and rapport and be exploring those what, why, and how type questions, and hopefully at the end, some genuine reflection. So that's my take on street epistemology and why I value it. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and thanks for watching.
All right, let me pause it there. I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't go through and vet these videos, and it looks like they cycle them, they change them up a bit. So that was interesting for me. Any thoughts or questions before we go on to another? So this next one looks like is by Anthony Magnabosco. And if you've heard a name around street epistemology, you've heard his name. He, in many ways, founded the movement. I think he founded much of what Street Epistemology International is. And a lot of things that came out of street epistemology were sourced from his ideas. So he was the one who kind of transformed a manual from creating atheists into what street epistemology is.
Anthony, thanks ever so much for doing this again. We did try to record this. Gosh, how long ago was it? It was like about a month ago. It felt like maybe less, something like that.
3 weeks or a month ago, yeah.
And unfortunately, we had audio problems, and it literally was the first time I've ever had those audio problems with StreamYard. So just perfect timing, really.
I appreciate your dedication to wanting to do it again.
I genuinely
Some
appreciate
people would
you
just
giving
give up and like, I forget.
Well, I've done so many interviews on this channel with this exact same setup, and it just happened to be the one that you and I spoke on that had some really bad crackly distortion, and it's just horrible to listen to. So yeah, it's sincerely apologies for that.
Okay, so it looks like this one is 2 hours long, and that's going to be too long for our session tonight. So I'm going to skip it and see if I can find one that's shorter, but that captures some of these seminal things.
Can I?
Determinate thing.
Is there a question?
No, I joined a tad late. I'm not sure what we're doing here. Is this like a discussion group at some point, or what?
Yeah, so we do plan, I mean, I want this to be kind of a group exploration. normally Wednesday nights are the second Wednesday of the month is our monthly lecture, and it's usually a lecture format. But tonight we're using our video discussion format. So we watch some videos and work through them together, listen and kind of educate ourselves together and discuss it.
Okay, thanks, Ta.
All right, so I'm going to keep advancing through some of these longer ones. Are they all longer ones? Seems like a lot of them are quite long. Okay, this one looks pretty good. So this may actually be an actual SE conversation. It's about 20 minutes long. One of the things they teach in street epistemology is to try to time limit your conversation so that the person that you're conversing with feels like they have an out, that they're not trapped. And that sets them at ease, makes it a little easier to have the conversation and to be open with each other. So I'll play this and we'll see if it demonstrates that at all.
So let's see. Did anything come to mind?
Actually, maybe we can talk about what's.
So it looks like this video's started after they've established this initial conversation. So one of the things you often do when you're approaching someone having a street epistemology, what the street part of it means is that you're meeting somebody on the street, perhaps randomly. Perhaps you're standing there with a clipboard or sitting at a table with a sign, and you're allowing people to approach you, but you're also reaching out, you're trying to engage with them. It looks like he's already engaged with this person and asked if she wants to have a conversation about something you believe in. Usually it's a very open question like that. Would you like to speak about something you believe in? And what surprised me, I mean, I believe a lot of things, but at first it surprised me that people always picked a difficult topic, like believing in God or believing in ghosts. But then I realized, okay, of course, people recognize that you're looking for a topic that's interesting. And so they gravitate towards the things that perhaps they know are controversial. So I just wanted to give that kind of intro, let you know that's probably what's happened. And now we're about to break into the conversation. It looks like the audio is going to get better.
Going on, and like maybe, do you want me just to start telling you?
I mean, it's. Are you talking about just like current events, kind of like?
Well, it's just maybe we can talk about like what's going on, about the fear, like what's happening with people.
Fear,
Maybe fear, which
Okay.
is maybe fear. Maybe we can talk about the like about what's going on. It's kind of illusion.
Mhm.
It's just kind of like something's happening which is not true.
Okay.
Maybe there's a little bit true of it,
Mhm.
but the most important thing, which is the fear of the people, like what's going on.
Okay. So you said that there's a fear, and the fear's an illusion, like it's not something
Yeah,
that's
it's
real.
kind of like, for example, like the coronavirus,
Uh-huh.
like the COVID-19.
Yeah.
Can I talk about it?
Yeah, totally. You think it's like maybe a hoax or?
It's not about hoax. There's some things happening,
Okay.
which is man-made,
Mhm.
man-made, and it's. I think people, they're just overreacting,
Okay.
and that what makes their immune system, it goes even down.
Oh, so their
And
panic is
they're
kind of
panicking.
almost.
They're
Okay.
panicking more than they're supposed to.
And that's what's even worsening
This
their
is
thing.
even
Okay.
worse.
Okay.
And it's kind of like you let things happen. Like, for example, if I let you control me,
Mhm.
so you can control me. But if I did not allow you to control me, so I'm a free person.
Right.
You have no right to. You can't.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. That's what I believe.
Okay.
So yeah.
Maybe like there's some group of people who there's fear instilled into them, and the purpose of that is so that they're easy to control, or that they can be
Yeah,
controlled.
of course.
But
Yeah.
there are other people, maybe like yourself, who you're not afraid, and you don't let people control you.
it's kind of, the fear, this is the disease, to be like more clear. The fear, it's everywhere if you allow it in any place in your life, not just what's going on right now. Because that's how I see it, and so many people see it.
Okay.
Just living like the present, and just enjoy your life and see the blessings that
You
you
said live in the
have.
present?
Yeah,
Okay.
living in the present moment. And I think like people would be fine if they just open their eyes more, and if they just see the truth.
Okay.
Um,
What is the truth? Like, is there? You said that there is something. Is fear the only, I guess, disease or virus, or do you think
there
that
is
there
a
actually
virus,
is?
for sure. There is a virus. There's something like there is a virus, but
It's just not as bad as we think.
but it's not. Yeah, it's not bad as we think. It's more. It attacked more the who have problem with their immune system.
Okay.
So, and fear makes it even lower, and that how you catch it even more. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Right.
And it's not only that. It's kind of like there's awakenings happening right now. Because whatever we live in right now, like all this picture, it's just pictures around us.
Okay.
Like the buildings, the lifestyle we have, the technology, it's just illusion. It's not, it's even, there's no meaning of it. But
Interesting.
there's something else, which is,
What do you mean by, I'm curious, what do you mean by illusion? Like, do you think that my phone is really there? Or do you think it's
illusion,
just
which is
distracting me?
means, no, illusion, what I meant about it, it's kind of like, for example, you like it. You like your phone. You like your TV. You like your technology stuff. It just make it a trap. So
Yeah.
you're there all the time. You
Right,
forget
right.
about yourself. You forget about who you are, who you truly are.
Yeah.
You have a soul. You have a spirit. You have an amazing. You are a beautiful human being, and at the same time, there is even more than that. It's just not your flesh.
Right.
It's not about just what you need to eat or to,
Yeah.
just
So
that's
you're
what I
saying
meant.
like we're all sort of stuck on this surface level
Yeah,
where we're
surface.
distracted with like things like our phone or what people think of us or just these really sort of like surface like things. I don't know what to call them, constructs or something, but there's something deeper. Like you think that we have a, did I hear the word soul? You think we have,
Like your spirit,
Your
you
spirit?
need to
Okay.
find who you are,
Uh-huh.
who you truly are. We were created for a reason, not just for all this stuff.
okay.
And we really, during generations, we forgot who we are. We have powers. We have abilities to do an amazing things.
Okay.
And
There's so many things interesting. You brought up a lot of interesting things to talk about. You mind if I ask you a few more questions? Okay. What do you mean powers?
powers, what do I mean by powers? Like, how can I say that? We have powers, like we can control our reality. Like, for example, we have the power to choose. We think we don't, right? We think everything's happening, it's just coincidence. Oh, it just happened. No, it does not happen just like that. There's something behind it. And you have the power to understand that whatever's happening, and you can control your reality. Like, for example, you have two ways. If you go that way and something happened, it does not happen just because you went that way, but because you chose to go that way. So when you have more clear vision, you know which way you're supposed to go. So you have the power. You have your own life. It's yours. It's not
Okay.
like some people think, like, oh, we are controlled, or we're living in this world and this is how we're supposed to live. Like, it's not.
So you think we have the power to choose, like free will is
Yeah,
kind of what you're
free
talking about?
will.
Okay. And
Like, you can choose to be afraid of the virus, or you can choose not to be afraid of it and just, yes, it's there.
right.
We cannot deny it. It's something is happening,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna allow it to control us, to control our life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, let's just say like let's just say that no one without pre-existing conditions, just as a hypothetical, died from the virus or even got sick from it. But so are you saying, like, what about these people who do have pre-existing conditions? Could they choose not to be afraid of the virus and not die from it?
Some people, they can't because they're already, their immune system is no good.
Yeah.
Okay. But let me ask you a question. Well, all we hear about is COVID-19s. The people are dying just because of COVID-19s.
Yeah.
We're not hearing about the heart attacks, people who dies from heart attacks. We're not hearing about people who dies from accidents, sickness, other sickness, old people. There's, well, flu. There's, I don't know how many people dies by year. We could stop hearing about
like
that.
20,000, 30,000.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the number,
exact number, yeah.
but there is, people dies from so many causes, and
we're only hearing about COVID-19.
we cannot just, count it like,
Yeah.
It's just, when, like a human being, as a person who live like just like in the surface, or let's say just living like the news, which is the news is the worstest thing in the whole world because it's a lie.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so
Like all news?
most of them, yeah.
Is there any news that you trust?
No.
Okay. So how do you find out about the world?
The world, I can make, like, whenever, what do you mean? Like,
So there's not a news source that you trust. How do you find out what's going on?
well, let me tell you, there's no news that bring up just 100% lie, right? They need to make a little bit true because people, they're not that blind. And we merge some stuff that we want to tell the people that we want them to believe.
So it's truth mixed in with
And then they
lies.
mix it, and then people like overreact it. Like whatever's happening about the climate is changing, and the weather, everything is true, for example.
Okay.
But what's caused it? It's the like if people just look deep, it's more than like it's the technology and all this kind of stuff. It's changing everything. Like for example, the 5G they're bringing right now, it's really bad. It's really bad. It's killing the earth.
Okay.
It's killing people.
Was the Earth, was like global warming, for instance, or climate change, whatever, was the Earth on decline before 5G was introduced?
It was processing. It was going through something not really good because we've been having this issue a long time ago, but like 5G, it's making it even worse because,
okay.
because it's, I don't know how to explain it, but that's how I see it.
No. Yeah, I get that. Okay, so going back to because there's a lot of claims being brought up here, and I just a couple more questions on one of them. When you said that we have powers that we forgot about, were you only talking about the power to choose something?
So many powers we have.
What else?
A lot.
Okay.
I really don't know. It's a lot of powers that we have. Like for example, you have, for example, the power to love people, to choose to love people.
Another choice.
You have a choice to love them. Love is very important. It's not just important, it's everything.
Okay.
Every human being, every creature has the right to live. So we cannot just, because they don't fit in our food, so we don't like them, so they're supposed to not be, doing this or that, or any kind of creature. So we have the power to love, and love makes miracles. And we have the power to forgive. And there's a lot of things.
So these are all, me personally, I wouldn't call these things powers. Maybe I would. You have the power to choose something, you have the power to love someone. I sort of take those things for granted, and I feel like everyone kind of knows that they can do those things, but it's hard for people to do them. And I think I agree with you, like, for some of the reasons that you mentioned, like people are so invested in their technology and what's going on in the news and the sort of the surface level stuff that they forget, or it becomes hard for them to love people, or it becomes hard for them to feel like they can make a choice in their life. When you said powers, I was wondering if you meant something more like you can shoot fire from your hands, or you can
I'm
fly.
not talking
or
about
something.
that. No,
Okay.
no, we're not gonna go there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So it's the power to just sort of be the best person that you can be, and all that kind of stuff. Just one more question on the coronavirus hoax thing. Or you didn't say it was a hoax. You said it does exist, but it's exaggerated. Is there, how confident are you on a scale of 0 to 100 that that is true? That it's exaggerated?
Oh, it's like 90%.
90%?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And why are you so confident?
Why I'm so confident?
Mhm.
Because this is how I see it, and you know, it's kind of like I follow my inner feelings or my
Instinct?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, and you can tell, you can see it. I mean, if you want to see it, you can see it.
Mm.
If you choose to just cover your eyes and just follow other people, because this is what other people do. This is the concept. Like, oh, we're like other people. Like everybody's doing it. Everybody's
wearing a
scared.
mask.
Everybody's afraid. So no, it's not like that.
Mm.
So, for example, if somebody jumped in the ocean, so I should follow. You
Right.
know, this is not right. So for me, it just I don't know how to explain that.
Mhm.
But it's even before it started. It's something's happening, something's going on, and it's prepared,
Okay.
and you can feel it, you know. And
So it's not like you're 90% confident that the virus is like exaggerated in order to like maybe control people, but that doesn't come from like from something from like, I guess, maybe evidence, like hard evidence. It
there
more
is
comes
evidence,
from-
but I may not be able to
Tell me
really be
about it?
clear about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it just, and it's not only me. If you
Right.
go see, for example, if you follow some people, I'm not gonna mention names, they're talking about that, and there's a lot of people who start to wake up.
Okay.
And some other people, they're just like, they think they're just creating something. Like, for example, no, the viruses exist and everything. Yes, it is. No, it's so much, it's scary. No, it's not.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah. One more question. If so, there is some evidence. You don't want to tell me, like who else is talking about this, or maybe.
so many people are talking about it. If you go to Facebook, for example, if you go
Yeah.
to the YouTube, they're
Mhm.
talking about it. They're
Yeah.
making, there's channels that are talking about
Yeah,
it.
I've
There's
seen
some
some of
people
those.
are talking about it.
Yeah.
There's famous people are talking about it, you
Yeah.
know, and there's normal people are talking about it, and
Yeah.
they can feel it. My friends, for example, me and we talk a lot about this,
Mhm.
and that makes us, even like, for example, what makes you comfortable with and makes you feel safe.
Mhm.
So to me, this is what it is. This is the truth.
Okay.
Okay, it's not just about, yes, let's, for example, talk about, you're saying, like, we were talking about, like, having faith in God, or having faith in the universe, or having, each person has their own way.
Right.
Yeah, right? We're not gonna talk about religion or something. Everybody, they have their own way, and it leads to one thing, which is the truth, you know?
So everybody's has their own way.
Like to believe or to have faith, or for example, to know this is right, this is wrong, this is a lie, this is true. So it's inside your heart, it's inside you. So you choose, either you see the truth or not. Some people are waking up, some people, they don't want to.
Too blind.
Yeah. they don't wanna
You
wake
said
up.
that everyone has their own way, their own path, but you said they all lead to the truth.
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them, okay. And the last question that I wanted to ask was, on that claim of 90%, and you're sure because your instincts and maybe some evidence, you said there is some evidence that you don't want to talk about, but on that, is there anything that you could learn that would make you less confident? Like any sort of evidence could be brought to you, or is there anything that you could see to make you think like, wow,
Get scared, like for example?
Well, not even to be scared, maybe, but just to think that coronavirus is more serious than you thought. Is there any, is it possible, I guess, for that to be the case? And how would you find that out?
Well,
did you get the question? Or do you want me to
I get
rephrase
it. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
It was kind of weirdly put.
It's been months. It's been months, but it didn't happen to me until now, and hopefully it won't. And I don't think it will. Well, most of the people I know, they didn't get it.
Okay.
So many people, they for example, had fever, not fever, or like for example, they break food or something. No, the result is positive. Like so many things happening.
Yeah.
So many friends, so many people. They did the test. Nothing's happened around me. Nothing.
Okay. So it would have to sort of happen in your circle or
Yeah,
to
I mean,
you.
I didn't see anything's happening until now. I'm telling you, it's extreme.
But if it happened in your local, like in your circle.
And that's what I said. There is something. There is a virus, but it's not what we think it is. You don't have to go and take the shot for it or the vaccine for it, which is, you don't have to do that. Okay. Because this is not going to save you. It's even going to make it worse, honestly.
All right. Hey, thanks, dude. What's your name?
Manad.
Manad?
Yeah.
M-I-N...
M-A-N-A-L.
M-A-N-A-L. Manad. Okay. I'm Quinn. Good to meet you.
To meet
I
you.
would shake your hand, but I'm one of those scared individuals.
That's
you know,
okay.
So.
Can I ask a question? Is it finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
My camera died, so I guess it is.
If we took every species on...
All right. What did everyone think?
Well, I thought she was an ideal candidate for her side of the argument. I thought she did a sterling job of being honest and frank and truthful and informative. But he also was brilliant. He couldn't have done a better job than what he did.
Matt.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Jason, you want me to flap my gums a little bit here about street epistemology.
Go for it.
Yeah, one thing you got to understand about street epistemology is that you're not trying to change somebody's mind. Okay, that's not the goal of street epistemology. Basically, the goal of street epistemology is to plant the seed of doubt by asking these questions and making them think. You kind of want them to have that aha moment, kind of, whereas they stop for a moment and have to think about how their beliefs are affecting the conversation that they're having. So you're not like, street epistemology is not about like jacking somebody up and shoving it down their throat. It's just about asking questions that make the person that you're having the conversation with think about the other side. Make them think about it, and even if it's only for a brief moment, that might, I don't want to fester with them a little bit. You know what I mean? You've created that little bit of doubt, and that's kind of a goal of street epistemology versus, that last clip we watched. He was doing a great job of street epistemology. Unfortunately, I'm trying to give you a little context of what he was trying to do here. Okay, and like I said, Jason, I sent you that video. It might be a little bit. It's a little bit more not educational, but it kind of goes to the basics of it a little bit more, and kind of goes through the whole, how it works, and objectively Dan is somebody that's big in the street epistemology, and I hope everyone here knows who Seth Andrews is, and he's into street epistemology, and this is like a 13-minute video that he and objectively Dan had, I don't know, maybe a year ago or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. We can look at that one next. Andy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention that, was it Quinn was the street epistemologist there? I thought he did a really good job of just giving the woman just a chance to open up. She seemed really eager to kind of explore her own ideas, almost as though her everyday life didn't afford many opportunities to really think things through and be listened to in a really careful, respectful way. And just by being that sort of non-anxious listening presence, I think Quinn gave her a really neat opportunity to evolve her own thinking. And I think that's maybe one way to think about street epistemology, is just giving people space to hear themselves think.
Thanks, Andy. And you're up next. You're on mute, Anne. And we have you on mute. We can't hear you.
I was about to say, I do have a friend who's exactly like that, and talks like that and looks like that and everything else. Anyhow, I was going to say three things. One was that, Quinn did not go down like any kind of rabbit holes that were unnecessary. Like when she said, I feel that we all have powers, a lot of conversations would have gone off the tracks right there when we don't have powers, da, 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 da. Instead, it's like, oh, what kind of powers? Oh, the power to choose, the power to love, the power to forgive. And turned out, it was just a matter of semantics, and they agreed on that point, basically. So, a lot of times, that's a good lesson, hear the person out before you try to counter. And the second thing I was going to say was that I've seen this street epistemology practiced with Andrew Karaman, who's in Pittsburgh Free Thought Community at the Second Reason Rally. And me and Andrew and Kelly Ackerman, we're all trying to get to the Reason Rally. And all along the way, we were being intercepted by these people these Christians trying to convert us. And so Andrew used this method over and over and over again. I got to see it in action. And I kind of forget all the details, and I don't know how he did it, but, he would always say, oh, why do you believe that? And then when they got to the end of the conversation, they were shaking hands every single time. And it was like, oh, it was so great to talk to you. Even though these people had ambushed us, under false pretenses, they had the T-shirts on that made us believe they were atheists. And it was like to catch us and then, turn the tables and try to convert us. It was very, very interesting. But I would just say that he did it like 10 times over, had a really deep and meaningful conversation with somebody. All the rest of us are like, let's hurry and get to the Reason Rally. And he's having this really deep conversation and ending on a really positive note by shaking hands. That's what I would say.
Cool. Thanks, Anne. Yeah, I had some thoughts too. Quinn did a great job. I noticed he used a couple of the key structures that street epistemology tries to teach. The first is to find an idea, that somebody's interested in talking about, and ask them their confidence about that belief before you start exploring it. So he got to the point of asking, the initial confidence, and she said 90%, and it's often good to write that down and just, really lock that in your mind as the initial starting point. Then spend some time digging into that belief, asking them how they believe it, what sorts of things might change that belief. And then typically at the end, you might ask them again, within a span of 5 minutes, based on our conversation, how would you rate your belief now? And sometimes it doesn't change, and sometimes it changes in the negative, but often it changes in the span of that conversation. That can be rewarding, a rewarding way to have the conversation.
Yeah, but I don't think they're accurate when they say I have a 90% confidence. That's not true. That's just a made up way of saying I'm very confident. And people are not confident in what they believe for reasons that can be articulated. That's an assumption of street epistemology, that we should all be able to account for why we believe what we do. We think that we can, and we always make a good job of it. If we're clever, we make a very good job of it. But it's just made up on the spot, like that woman was making up her answers.
Could I just jump in here for a quick follow-up, Jason?
Sure, and then we'll do Alan.
Yeah, my understanding is that even though the numbers people choose to sort of reflect their confidence levels are fairly arbitrary, right, pulled out of thin air, even though just the fact that it takes them out of a black and white into a shades of gray frame of mind can have an important impact on their openness to persuasion. So I think that's the real purpose of that. So,
agreed.
Alan. You're on mute.
Muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I found this very interesting, but it seems to me that one has to have a great deal of patience and to get them to be more rational. You have to, we'd have to be hours probably of questions and answers and so forth. Now, it's not exactly the Socratic method. Socrates would kind of start the same way as they did. But he would have pointed out the contradictions, which she had many in what she said. She says, well, how do you believe this? Well, it's my feelings. Well, what if I have feelings that are the opposite of yours, and so forth and so on. Secondly, her friends, her friendship group, they've all believed this. Well, at the same time, and then also on YouTube, there are a lot of important people that she wouldn't identify that say this. Well, that is really the same thing that she's purporting to criticize, that people are just sheep and going along with other people, what other people say. So Socrates would have, in a longer dialogue, would have brought out these contradictions. And usually when he did that, the person got very angry and stormed off, like Thrasymachus in the Republic, as Andy knows. But anyway, I thought it was interesting, and it kind of shows me a way to talk to people, but you have to have very limited expectations if you're going to do it in 20 minutes. If you've got 2 or 3 hours, maybe you could get someplace further than what he got with the woman in question.
Jackie, you had something for us. You'll have to come off mute.
He used a technique several times of repeating in his own words what he heard her say and asking her if that's what she meant. And I was taught that a long time ago, but I forget to use it because too often we're involved in thinking of what we want to say. And this is focused on the other person, what they're saying. And I think it would take a lot of practice to be able to use that instead of wanting to say what you want to say.
Yeah, one way I've heard that described is to steelman their argument or their position, to really give, treat it like it were your own, and work from that point. Anne, you were next.
I was going to say that at one point she said, well, all the media is lies. And at that point, that really offends me very, very personally, because my husband is a reporter. And lately when I see, like there's so much hatred over the news, all the news is lies, I never could let that go. I would say, my husband is a reporter. No, he's not a liar. And that's what I would actually do in a conversation like that. And, a lot of times when you're having conversations with somebody in real life, they'll do something that's really offensive. Sometimes I just let it slide, but sometimes I say something. I don't know what you think you would do. Like another one would be, oh, that Nancy Pelosi, she's horrible one. What a horrible woman. It's like you're stuck standing across from this person for the next 4 hours working with them. Do you just let it roll, or do you say, I actually respect Nancy Pelosi? I suppose you should say that, and what should you do in a street epistemology situation?
So Matt, you're next. Do you want to answer her question?
Yeah, I can kind of give you an idea how to handle it. Basically, what you want to do in a situation like that is you want to. It takes a lot of self-control. I mean, it does. It's not something that just anyone can do. I have issues with it. You know what I mean? That there's sometimes these people come. I talk to some people. I talk to a lot of people, and some people, they come out so harsh, and you have to control yourself, and you have to listen to what they're saying. And like your example about Nancy Pelosi, one of the questions I would have asked was, what makes her so wicked? Why do you feel that way? And then and whatever the response is, instead of reacting, aggressively, just find out where they're coming from, and you don't necessarily have to counter what they're saying. What you're trying to do is get them to think about the other side, kind of. It's like, let me give you a little how street epistemology has worked in the past for me. I used to go downtown all the time, and there's this one square down there, and I just loved the square. It was a beautiful place to read and stuff like that. But there was always be this minister there, with a bullhorn, and he would send his little minions out, to hand out tracts. And every time one of these guys, one of his, I don't know what to call them, but other than minions, but they would they come up to me, they hand me a tract, and they ask me, something silly like, have you been saved, or something crazy like that. And I would use street epistemology to talk to this person who's kind of on the new end of this guy's cult. Okay, is what I call it. But I would go down there almost every other week, and after about a year, the guy, the main preacher guy, I was sitting down there, and the preacher guy, one of his minions was coming over to talk to me again, and the preacher stopped him dead. And I asked him, then after the preacher had got done, his sermon, or whatever it was he was doing, I asked him, I said, why did you stop him from coming over? And he says that I've lost 3 guys since they talked to you.
Wow.
And all I was doing was just, all I was doing was just making them question their beliefs, you know, by asking them questions. And that's how, like, you know, I don't remember who it was that was talking about going to a rally or whatever. I have that same problem. Okay, my late wife, she used to hate it. You know what I mean? Because you know, we get stopped by these guys, and I ended up talking for 15 minutes, and you know, and all of a sudden we're late to we missed half the rally. You know, but I do that all the time, and it's not something. It is something that you have to kind of take the emotion out of it, and that's difficult to do. And you know, like I said, I've been doing this long before it was called street epistemology. This is the way this is the way I did it. I've been doing this for 40 years, and so it's a method of, instead of trying to change somebody's mind, plant a seed of doubt in their mind by not confronting them, but by making them think about what they're thinking about. If that makes any sense.
KD. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting discussion. And the video actually reminded me a lot of psychotherapy, where Quinn, as a quote therapist, unquote, respected this woman. He showed her unconditional positive regard, meaning no matter what she said, he would not think anything less of her. And he was very empathetic. And this is the kind of stuff that a good therapist does. He also actively listened and repeated her words back. He paraphrased what she said. So again, he showed that he was listening to what she said. Now, regarding Anne's comment about how she'd react if somebody said, you know, the media are all liars, that's tough. It takes some practice to not allow your emotions to interfere. If somebody says something that's so out of line and so offensive, it's really, really hard not to react. And that's a skill that these therapists need to learn, and while maintaining their empathy and positive regard and whatnot. And I thought Quinn did a very nice job with that. I couldn't really see the video. Like who is this guy? What is his background? And if he's not a therapist or a psychologist, he learned very well. He learned very well how to ask open-ended questions and do stuff really a good therapist should be able to do.
And I suspect he's not a professional at it, and that's one of the things that street epistemology aims to do, is to help us develop those skills, to practice and get better at it. And so yeah, something we can start on tonight, maybe do some more in the future. I was thinking of going next to the video that Matt recommended, if everybody's good with that. Let me just start the presentation.
Dan, you're a former believer, is that right?
Yes, that is true.
How hardcore are we talking?
I was part of a college evangelical organization, so I think it's not like extremist, but it's definitely in there, right?
Like the planet is your mission field.
Yeah, definitely talk to random people on campus about Jesus.
Okay, so the story goes like this. You're on college campus and you stumble upon Anthony Magnabosco, who's known for street epistemology, right? And so the legend is that you had a conversation and he helped you to deconvert from Christianity. But that's not exactly, or that's not even wholly true, right?
Right, yeah. So this conversation is recorded on YouTube for anybody who's interested in seeing it. Me as a Christian talking to Anthony Magnabosco, who of course I didn't know who he was at the time. But yeah, I was on campus as a college student, and Anthony talked to me about my reasons for believing, why I was a Christian. And at the time, I thought it was a really fascinating conversation. It definitely gave me a lot to think about. But I didn't call myself an atheist till at least like a year later. You know, I lived a life in between that video and the time that people have seen me now. And I think that's the one thing I try to emphasize about my story, and especially about street epistemology in general, is it's not meant to be this thing where you instantly change somebody's mind like that. It's supposed to be planting seeds in people. And I definitely had a seed planted in me for sure.
So define street epistemology.
Yeah, so street epistemology is a method for talking to people about their beliefs, is like the simplest way I can put it. The advantages of a method like this is you want to be able to talk about any kind of subject, even the most controversial, without raising alarms in people's heads, without making people feel super uncomfortable. And it's a way to have productive conversations with people about these subjects.
So it's sort of the antithesis of grabbing them by the shoulders and saying, what the hell is wrong with you?
Right.
Which is tempting when you see people who hold pretty wild out there beliefs.
It's super tempting, right? Like you just see the preacher somewhere on a campus or something and you just want to tell them to shut up. And I totally get that. And not to say that that anger isn't warranted, but I know this from my experience talking with people, Seth, and I know that you have too, is that that approach really just doesn't change anybody's mind on anything. You know, if anything, it makes people more combative and it puts up these barriers to conversation. So SE is trying to like mitigate that and figure out how you can really have better quality of conversations.
There's sort of a misconception too that SE is all about religion, but you can use this Socratic method with anything.
Absolutely. Like I would totally teach SE at a church if a church invited me to do it. I don't know that they would, but there's maybe some church out there would want me to do it. I think you can really use this for all kinds of applications. I think you can use it for business. I think you can use it for your personal relationships, really any kind of subject.
Okay, walk me through it. Like you encounter me on the street.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, you know, Seth, I'd like to ask you a few questions about your beliefs. Is that how you approach me or what?
Yeah, so it's funny because I do a call-in show. So the people come to me when they want to talk to me. Anthony Magnabosco and a lot of people, they actually go out on the street and have these conversations. But I suppose if I were to talk with you, I would say, hey, are you interested in having a conversation maybe for YouTube or something? You know, I give more of a prompt than just a random conversation. And if you consented to that, I'd maybe ask you about your God beliefs, if you had any, for example. Or I could ask you, do you believe in climate change? Do you believe that COVID-19 is real? Honestly, just starting off with any of those subjects. And I'd ask you why, and I'd ask you how you believe those things. And you know, there's a whole methodology to that is a little bit longer than what I could probably explain in the short time we're talking. But there's a lot of resources out there that talk about the in-depth parts.
But that's a lot of hot button stuff.
Yeah,
why do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Or do you start probably do you believe in a God?
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then what's the next question?
Yeah, that's like, do you have a God belief? And I'd say, like, what does that belief look like? You know? And I might even ask, how confident are you in that belief on a scale of 1 to 100? And then see if that confidence might change over the course of a conversation.
And then you grab them by the shoulders and you say, what the hell is wrong with you?
That's when you grab them by the shoulders, yeah. Punch them in the face, you know, do what you got to, right?
I mean, I'm just being facetious.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the QAnon culture, we've seen some wacky beliefs out there.
Right.
And a lot of people, as we've seen, you know, they believe it, but they don't really know how and why they believe it. So, you know, it's an interesting concept.
Yes.
Instead of going after the belief themselves, you are interested in, well, how the hell did you get there? What's your process, right?
This is one of the great advantages of SE is that you don't have to be an expert on any particular topic, not even philosophy. You can use this method to talk to people about stuff that you have no idea about, and you're really just asking people, like you said, to kind of walk me through how you got here to this place. And that's why I'm suggesting that people use it for those hard family conversations, especially when it comes to really harmful stuff like QAnon, as you mentioned, like a lot of this anti-vax rhetoric that we're seeing these days.
Family, that's tough.
It is.
Is it harder to do SE with family from your perspective? You think so?
From my perspective, it is way easier to talk to complete strangers on the internet than it is to talk to my own family.
Yeah.
But part of that is because I have this history now and they know me as this person that does this thing. So there's a little bit of, personal history there that gets in the way of it. But if you're just a random person that doesn't have the kind of history that I do, then it's probably a lot easier. I would hope so, right?
How bad's it been? I mean, for you, you don't share anything you're not comfortable with, but, are you the prodigal? Are you the black sheep? Are you the broken branch on the family tree thing?
I have a pretty strong relationship with my family, but this stuff that I do, this is the stuff that there's almost this mutual agreement that we don't really talk about because I don't know if they really want to know. I've tried to explain it, but I'm not sure if they fully understand what I'm really trying to do here. I think they think that I'm just trying to make everybody not believe in God and become nihilists, but it's more than that. I'm interested in having better conversations with people and just really getting to the heart of what people believe. And unfortunately, that means having uncomfortable conversations sometimes. And I think that the stuff that I talk about kind of makes them uncomfortable. So there's a little bit of that, gray area there where we just kind of don't talk about it.
In my own life, I remember it was when I started to become uncomfortable that was part of my ticket out. I don't know if that's true for everybody. But, it's when I was cozy in my cocoon, unchallenged, that I was a devout believer. But when I was challenged, I remember feeling discomfort, and I'm sure that's common. Was it common with you? Did you feel like that dissonance, the wrestling going on in your skull?
Yeah, definitely. This was the thing that I grew up with. This is everything I've ever known to be true. And, everybody might have individual variations on their Christian belief within their family, but I just took everything out, right? There's nothing about me that's Christian anymore from what I consider, at least in my world perspective. So that also means that it's harder for my family to relate to my specific experiences as well. And that's tough. I wish that it wasn't that way. And I think over time it'll probably get better. But, now that I'm older now and I'm kind of establishing myself as my own person, independent from my family, it's a bit better. But when I first started this stuff, I was still in college. So I had a lot more dependency on them. And it was hard, really hard.
What are some of the traps people fall into when they're engaged? I'm going to try SE. I'm going to throw myself out there. I mean, there's a lot of places where you can get snagged.
I think people want to use SE sometimes so that they can set up a way for their own argument to get into the conversation, right? So SE is almost like this rhetorical tool that's being used. And I understand how that might be convincing for some people, or that might even be useful for particular conversations. But as soon as you really start to defend your own claim about something, then in my opinion, that stops being SC. That becomes an argument because you've put a position out there and now you're trying to defend this position rather than trying to ask somebody else about how they got to their own position. So again, I'm not saying that there's not a time and place for it. There obviously is, but it stops being SC, and I wish people realize that.
Where's that transition point, or is there one? I mean, if you're starting this journey with them, the Socratic stuff with all the questions, is there a segue point where you go more on the offense?
It's funny because especially when Anthony has these conversations, he'll often have real long, hour-long conversations that I can't have on my show. So I'm using him as the example here. But he'll get to that point where somebody might just say, I don't know. And then he'll say, all right, thank you for your time. And that's kind of it. That's kind of the end, because he doesn't go, oh, okay, well, you shouldn't believe in God, and here's why your reasons are wrong. Like, that doesn't happen.
Like, wait, he planted the seed, or they planted the seed themselves, and he wants them to go and sort of think about it.
Let them think about it. And that's not to say if people ask you questions about what you think about something, then, you know, you can have a conversation there. But again, the goal isn't to proselytize. You know, that's not what you're trying to do. The goal isn't to be a lawyer and try to make a case that you're trying to defend to the court. You're supposed to kind of be more of an investigator, kind of gathering the facts.
Is your channel Street Epistemology?
You know, I would say it's Street Epistemology inspired. You know, most of my time is dedicated to the project of Truth Wanted right now, being the call-in show. But I give guests every single week. And what I have found is that when you throw another person in that mix who may or may not be familiar with SE, or may or might not even care to use it in that conversation, it kind of gets a little more chaotic. And so my show isn't directly SE anymore. It's a kind of a mix of different things, but it has definitely influenced the way that I take calls, for sure.
And if somebody wanted to find out more about Street Epistemology?
Well, there's a couple different places you can go to. You can go to streetepistemology.com, where they have a bunch of resources on there. If you want to see me talk about it specifically on my personal channel, Objectively Dan, I have at least one talk that I've done on Street Epistemology on there, and that's totally free to watch. And of course, there's tons of SE content creators that are making stuff, but Anthony Magnabosco also has a series on YouTube where he talks about it, so I recommend checking that out too.
Great chance to sort of challenge others, even ourselves, right? We need to be using it on ourselves. How did I come to this position? What's my process, right? We're not immune.
Right, yes, and that's the thing. Like, it's not a thing that you just kind of do and then you're done with. It should be something that you continue to use probably the rest of your life until you find a better method, I guess. I haven't really found one yet, but if somebody wants to show me one, I guess that'd be cool. For now, I've been sticking to this, and I've gotten a lot of results out of it. So,
Dan, thanks so much for your time, man.
Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it.
All right, Christine, you raised your hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the speaker made a lot of excellent. He said you have to take yourself out of it. You're not here to proselytize. You're not here to pursue your own agenda. And I think that's, again, that reminds me of therapy, where it's not about you. It's not about the therapist. It's about the person to whom you're speaking. And it can be hard to be objective, especially when that woman in the first video is saying that the stuff about who she believes and whatnot. But yeah, I thought he made a lot of good points. It's interesting that he would teach this to a church. That's kind of funny, but it does work. I mean, you can use it for pretty much anything.
Thanks, Katie. Liz.
Thanks, Jason. I thought this was very valuable. It reminded me of a piece that I read lately by Lara Putnam, who's a Pittsburgh-based professor she's at the University of Pittsburgh, and she teaches and writes about politics and about that. If you want to deliver information to someone that may change their mind about, for instance, a political position, the best person to deliver that is not an authority. It is not a political candidate. It's a trusted person, probably someone in their own life. And so it would recommend to me using these techniques with people that I have a personal relationship with. The difficulty is not getting emotional about it and not really getting invested in the outcome, but just exploring with that person, why are you supporting something? Why are you against unions, for instance, which I've worked for unions my whole life. So, I know people who are like, oh, unions are terrible. So I could have that discussion of exploring their reasons, not arguing my point, but listening to what they say and seeing where we can agree. So I liked it for that.
Cool. Thanks, Liz. So I was hoping we could do one more that would actually involve Anthony Magnavosco. I found one that's about 10 minutes long, which will make us run a little bit over. But if you have to go, I understand. But I want to go ahead and run this last one, and then we'll have our closing remarks, and we can move on. Let me just get this started here. So I picked out one called Creationist Embraces Skepticism. I picked it mostly because it was of the length. Here we go. I've never watched this before, so I hope it's good.
On the flip side, I am starting to hear some of these Socratic methods repeated in my own household. Like, no, we can't, part of a no, we can't necessarily say that's true. We don't know if that's true or not. So how can we determine if that is a real fact? So I'm hearing some of these things.
Coming from other members?
My wife and kids, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's a great mentality to permeate the discussion.
Just baby steps.
Sure.
Baby steps.
Oh, dude. Oh, troubleshooting. What a great word. We have to. It'll break your heart when you watch the video that I released tonight. Well, it kind of broke my heart. At one point, they asked me, what's the best way to tell if something is true? How do we do it? And, how embarrassing as an American to see that. But we just don't. Do they do this in other countries? I hope that they do. I think that they do. But it doesn't seem like we teach critical thinking very well here, if at all. Hey, what's up? How are you? Doing good?
Yeah.
Good.
Just reflecting.
What's that?
You're just reflecting on your last.
Someone's yammering my ear right now.
Oh, okay.
How have you been?
Good.
I almost didn't recognize you without your hat on.
Yeah. Sometimes it goes. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't stop and talk the other day. I was trying to get to an appointment. So yeah, I heard you were interviewing. Tuesday, I think.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I was talking to the Mormon missionaries. Did you see?
Okay. Nah.
They came back.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like what, 3 times now, maybe?
That was the 3rd time.
Yeah. Cool.
It was interesting though. One of them they both watched the videos of themselves in it.
Sure.
That puts a little twist on it.
Sure.
And one of them seemed off. Like he mentioned that he hadn't taken some medicine, so maybe that was part of it.
Yeah.
He even said, like, I'm just not really feeling this. I don't even want to do this right now.
Yeah.
Stood off to the side while I talked to his friend.
Right. Huh.
So.
Oh, I interrupted your phone call. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'm broadcasting the Discord server.
Oh, okay. Maybe it feels like he was like, he's avoiding being set up or something. Maybe that's why he didn't want to.
Exactly.
I've had a few talks where I start getting into some of these questioning techniques without, mistakenly letting them know kind of, hey, do you mind if I challenge some of these? I just dive into some of the questions without setting a level of confidence and the other stuff, and then I'm met with incredulity and a little defensiveness, and like, these are odd questions that are asking me, and I'm not really sure what you're driving at, but it feels manipulative.
I remember you relating that very same word. I think when you
I've had a few other conversations about the same thing, so I'm careful in my approach. I'm just.
Well, you have a lot at stake.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot.
Yeah, a lot at stake.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to really go slow and steady. Maybe even just wait for them to bring it up.
Yeah.
Before you start asking questions.
Right. On the flip side, I am starting to hear some of these Socratic methods repeated in my own household.
Okay.
Like, no, we can't, part of a conversation. No, we can't necessarily say that's true. We don't know if that's true or not. So how can we determine if that is a real fact? So I'm hearing some of these things.
Coming from other members.
My wife and kids, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's a great mentality to permeate the discussion.
Just baby steps.
Sure.
Baby steps.
Oh, dude.
But it's good.
So it's catching on.
A little bit. Yeah.
That's wonderful news.
Yeah. I saw you guys did an event. What was the event? CPAC?
Yeah, there's a few people there right now.
Oh, okay.
One of them's even probably listening in.
Oh, nice.
They're tabling at it's a very right-wing conservative.
Okay.
I forget what it stands for, but it's in fact they're not allowing the vendors to table there because the vice president is speaking at the moment.
Oh, wow.
So they're for security reasons.
Okay.
They can't even get in where they would normally go. But yeah, we're tabling there. In fact, one of them is going to live stream all of his talks. They're live streaming the talks that they do at the table.
Yeah.
With people that walk by.
Huh.
On Twitch.
Cool.
So yeah.
Do you got a spare business card? The one you normally give to people?
The one I normally give to people?
Yeah, the SC one.
Oh yeah.
Because we had a conversation in my cultural anthropology class just today. One of the young ladies was talking about she isn't pro-life, but she went by this this demonstration that's going off here right now or whatever. They got big banners with different pictures of development. They're trying to be shocking you with graphic.
Was that yesterday or is that today?
No, it's today and yesterday. It's less shocking. There's no like bloody fetuses or anything. They're just anyway. So she said she wanted to know more about why they thought the way they thought. So she just went up and started talking to them. And this wasn't any prompting on her part, of the instructor's part, and she was just like, I just sat there and I asked them questions and try to figure out why they feel the way they do and kind of what leads them to their truth. And all of a sudden they were like, this girl's a natural at this. Like,
if she's instinctively doing that,
she is.
Imagine if she has a little guidance with SE.
Yeah.
She'll be stunning.
She is already. So I'll pass this on for her to use.
That's the card that I usually give people that speak to me, and it's a dedicated email specifically for that.
Okay.
These are some cards with a generic description of what SE is.
Right. Okay. Sure.
This is my card with my email and phone number on it.
Okay.
Which you can.
Yeah, I'll take that. Sure. But I think it's partly due to the professor. He started day one with Socratic methods, like not saying what it was. He's like, this is how I teach. I just ask questions.
Was this the class where you mentioned, or somebody mentioned the guy who was out there recording?
Different class. Yeah, that was my orientation class that I take here. But this cultural anthropology class is really good, and I think it's by design. He introduced the toughest topic first and taught us how to walk through it from a methodological relativism sort of perspective, like putting yourself in their shoes. So the first 6 weeks we've been talking about mortuary cannibals in the Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Like tribes that eat their dead of their family members in order to help erase their memory for one, and then a bunch of other things like so he finds ways to relay that, and he has all these exercises like, what are some funeral rites that Americans do or Westerners do that might be similar to some other stuff? What about this? What about this? Is not taking of the transubstantiation, taking of the cracker and the wine, isn't that some sort of symbolic cannibalism? And so he really has a way of like starting to relate these things, and I think he's trying to get us into a mindset of like cultural relativism, like trying to understand what the other person thinks instead of just immediately discounting it as barbaric.
Okay,
so
that's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes this there's this concept of disgust.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are studying disgust and what impact that might actually have on belief exploration, revision.
Yeah.
Because if you're disgusted by something, then why would you even entertain adopting the idea?
Right.
So it can be an impediment to belief revision.
Sure. Yeah.
But maybe she can watch a few videos, and if she's interested in actually learning how to do it, you think she has a knack for it?
Yeah.
She's interested, I'd be happy to teach her how to do it right here.
Okay. Yeah, because she works for the newspaper too. And like she's just a young lady, but like immediately noticed an inquisitive sort of open-mindedness in her that I think it would be good for her to learn SE as well.
To meet her.
Yeah, I'll pass her your card next time I see her.
All right. Keep up the great work at home too.
Yeah, good luck on the Discord. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you.
So yeah, that wasn't as much direct street epistemology as I was hoping for. Probably have to get into the longer ones to see a proper session by Anthony. But I would recommend to check him out and watch a couple of his things. Maybe you could watch his training talks if you like, but I would definitely just watch one session where he has some success, I guess, in probing somebody's beliefs. And you won't have to search through many of them to find that. Any other thoughts, Christine?
Yeah, Anthony also did a 1-hour talk with CFI. It must have been maybe over a year ago, and it's probably on their website somewhere. So basically, to want more details than what he did here. And also, SE is not always a fun or interesting process. Peter Boghossian, they're probably still on YouTube somewhere, but he posted some videos of him doing SE with a bunch of undergrads wherever he was teaching at the time. I don't know, Oregon State or something. And they went horribly wrong. And the reason, if I remember correctly, was that the students were unwilling to examine their beliefs at all. He would start out, have a conversation. What do you want to talk about? And then once he started asking them, questions to get them to think, whoa, they just went back crazy. So it doesn't always work like everything else in life. So your mileage may vary.
Yeah, if it was a silver bullet, it would be, we wouldn't be talking about it, I guess. See, Roby has a comment in the chat. He said, I'd be interested to hear others' experience practicing SE in the wild, specifically in a world where people's attention and focus seem to be trending downward as much as things are grasping for one's attention. And the question is, do you feel people seem to check out or burn out of the conversation faster with so many open-ended questions, or do you feel they become more energized with so much more attention focused on them? So I haven't practiced this enough to say. I tend to do this in conversations where people are energized, and drop it when they're not. But that's one of the things I want to ask this group is, do we want to try to use this forum, PFC or similar, to engage with people and practice this? Maybe in pairs, maybe just in singles, and then reviewing each other's work. Lots of different ways we could approach it, or we could do SE on each other and practice in that space. But Matt, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 things on my mind now. Basically, street epistemology doesn't work very well in like a open setting, where like if it's a one-on-one or a one-on-two. It needs to be personal. It doesn't work in like if you're addressing an audience, because there's just there's too many different minds going on, and that's why street epistemology almost always fails in an audience setting. I was just trying to address Christine's point there, and one other thing is another good resource, and my computer decided to do an update, so I'm kind of screwed here. But Seth on the Thinking Atheists Seth Anderson Seeking Atheist YouTube channel. He's got a mix of SE, where I think I know he interviews Andrew, and he interviews a few people, but they're like an hour long. You know what I mean? So it's just another resource that you can use to learn about this. And Jason, if you want any help with this, let me know. Like I said, I've been doing this for forever. You know what I mean? And I wish I'd known about this like before yesterday. I literally saw it yesterday, and I was like, oh man, this is like right up my alley. You know what I mean? And but if you want to do something more, I'd be more than happy to help facilitate that, and like I said, I have a lot of experience with this, and I use it every day. I use it when I'm when I'm trying to, even when you're like, I use it sometimes even when I'm trying, like I'm calling my phone company. You know what I mean? You got a dispute on your bill. You can use this method anytime you're kind of in a one-on-one conversation. And another thing that doesn't in the video that we showed with Seth and Objectively Dan, family. Another deterrent to using street epistemology is if you have a deep history with somebody. Because there's preconceived notions and like as family members, it's very difficult to use it on family members because there's just so much history there, and it works much better with actually it works the best with strangers, or people that you casually know. It's really difficult. If you know somebody personally and you've known them for years, it's hard to use it because there's just so much. There's emotions there that can rile you up a little bit. You know what I mean? And it's just the history. You know what I mean? There's just too much history. But you can use it, but it doesn't work as well. I'm just kind of throwing that out there, Jason.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate your experience in this. I'll definitely take you up on putting something together. So that we'll talk after this about what that might look like, and we'll figure something out.
Okay.
Katie, you had something else for us? We're over time, so make it quick.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Just I guess to Matt's comments on these videos, Bogosian was one-on-one with students, 1-on-2. One case he was, I think, 1-on-3, but it wasn't like, he was not lecturing an entire audience. And we did have something a long time ago, like way pre-pandemic. It was International Ask an Atheist Day. And Nicole had organized a bunch of us who basically stood on a street corner in Southside with big, name tags and signs as, hey, I'm an atheist, ask me anything. And it was very interesting. People were very friendly. They were curious. And this would be I think it would be a good way to do SE on them. We only had one, kook, and it wasn't even about religion, but he was just, anyway. But yeah, everybody except that one person was very kind. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. Yes. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We'll definitely do more SE stuff in the future. I'm not sure exactly when, but keep an eye out on our website, pghfreethought.org. If you're not already a member, consider signing up there. And if you have something specific you want to do, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at president at pghfreethought.org or jason.coombs. And yeah, we'll move forward with this in the future. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.